On this episode, Nicole and I head out to the Game Exchange in Simi Valley, California. We stumble upon an entire collection, complete several side quests, and find a few personal grails. Join me on a quest for all things retro.
We walk in and this store is totally decked out with Mario and Zelda and Final Fantasy, larger than life-size weapons. They had a giant warp pipe that took you through to their party room. They even had a giant air hockey table right in the middle of the game room.
So we kind of looked around for a little bit, but then he said that tomorrow he was going to have a big delivery because he just bought an entire collection. So we left. The next day we come back and the whole back room behind the warp pipe is swarming with boxes. Boxes and more boxes of mystery retro goodness. The first game I saw when I started going through the boxes was Ninja Gaiden 3, and this was the very game I was hoping to find, because it completed the Ninja Gaiden trilogy for me on the NES.
Side quest complete.
Now the game itself, there's not a whole lot different. I mean, it feels very similar to the other two games. You have the ability to hang now. An interesting thing that I remember reading about it is that when they first were programming that game, they were trying to make it easier than the others, but then Tecmo said, no, we need to make it hard, so they doubled the amount of damage that every enemy gave you, so it's now equally hard as all the Ninja Gaiden games are. I'm getting pretty close to having all the games to start with the letter I, so when I saw Infiltrator, I knew I had to get it, so I picked that game up. Now, Infiltrator, the game itself, it's not very good, to be honest. There's kind of like helicopter missions that are almost impossible to figure out, and then if you actually play long enough to get there, there's these ground-based missions that kind of look like a combination of Spy vs. Spy and Metal Gear. It's not a very good game.
You blew it, Complex.
You chose poorly.
I try to make the collecting process sort of a bunch of smaller collecting goals, the side quests. It's too overwhelming when you think about 677 games. So I try to get all the games in a trilogy, or all the games from a publisher, all the games that were published in a certain year, something like that. So I didn't have Adventure Island 1 or 2 yet, but when I saw Adventure Island 3, I mean, that's probably the pinnacle of that series to get. So it was nice to pick that one up and get started on that trilogy. And then I already have RoboCop 1, so getting RoboCop 2 is getting me closer. I just need to find RoboCop 3. So along those same lines, when I saw Xevious, well, that's the only X game I still need, so I picked that up.
Side quest complete.
Then I saw Rescue Rangers 2. And my first thought is this is going to be really expensive, so I'm not even going to consider it.
I said, hey, you know what? Just put it in a stack with everything else. You never know. It doesn't hurt to ask. And lo and behold, we got a great deal.
So Rescue Rangers 2 has gone up in price quite a bit in recent years, and I think it's for really two reasons. First of all, it came out very near the end of the NES life cycle. It came out, I think, in January of '94. So if I'm not mistaken, there's actually only about 10 games for NES that came out after it. So most kids had already moved on to the Super Nintendo, and not that many people bought it in the first place. But nowadays, people think Rescue Rangers, they have fond memories of the first game, and they want to pick this one up too and see if it's similar. Unfortunately, it's not quite as good. So in the original game, Chip and Dale are kind of exploring the human world, and so they're small and you have all these human-sized objects. But in this game, you don't see that very much. And the other thing about it is they got rid of the map screen, so now it's very linear. But still, I had to get that.
You have chosen wisely.
When I saw Toki, I absolutely wanted it. The label was so clean. The game is so fun. It's one of those, for me, it's one of the biggest, best hidden gems on the system. You play as an ape, and it's technically like a platforming run and gun, except you kind of walk slow, so it's more like a walk and gun. But it's one of those games. If you haven't played it, you definitely got to check it out. I love Toki.
So in these boxes, we saw all sorts of items. They had not just NES, but they had SNES, they had Genesis, they had old Famicom games, other items from Japan. Such an amazing collection, but Chris was focused and he said NES only.
You don't see that every day. What a stupid game that was. And this just blows me away too. The Game & Watch Zelda. It's so like, it's so minty. I passed up on so many games that I'm into. I saw Scat there. I saw Turtles Tournament Fighter there. I saw Gargoyles Quest 2. I passed them all up though because I already knew that my stack was getting a little pricey. And then in an effort to just close the gap on the games that start with the letter C, I picked up Classic Concentration, I picked up Chess Master, and I also found Cybernoid, the fighting machine. Whatever. This game has been bought and sold a lot of times. You can see there's sticker residue there, there's sticker residue there, there's a sticker that I removed from there. Then I flipped it over and there was a sticker on a sticker. And when I peeled it back, there was a sticker underneath that. So when you consider the original time that it was bought and the time I bought it and the 6 stickers here, this thing has been bought and sold at least 8 times. Weird.
Honey, do you have this game?
I actually don't. We should get it.
It's like the one game I recognize.
Let's get it.
I was very excited about that Barbie NES game, so we found a YouTube video that showed some gameplay footage. And it claimed the game is the glamorous quest full of fun, magic, and adventure.
There's a licensed game in the plane, Shock! Oh, that's just some nice shelf candy. I hate licensed games, Shock. I hate them.
Tombs and Treasures. Tombs and Treasures is one of those games that looks like it's going to be really cool. I like the box art, and then you start playing it and you quickly realize that without the instruction manual, without some sort of help or map, there's no way you're going to do well at this game. I also found Funhouse. Now, Funhouse is one of those kids' game shows that I used to watch all the time. Unfortunately, this game has nothing to do with the kids' game show except the name. It almost is like Smash TV, though.
I'd buy that for $1.
When I sold my collection back in 2013, I got down to 25 games. And so when I started to buy them up again, there was one that I really regretted getting rid of. It's one that is not only a very fun game, but it's one I had a really good memory of picking up. I'd found this at the swap meet for $5.
And that game is DuckTales 2.
So when I saw DuckTales 2, I knew it was time for me to go for it again. Beautiful, it's glorious. I think I might have to do that.
Grail game. Acquired.
So we got to the counter, we put the games there. I had no idea what he was going to say. This was going to be a little more expensive than we typically would spend, but he gave us a really good deal.
He did. He was really nice.
Yeah, the owner, the guys down at the Game Exchange are really good guys. I just enjoyed the store. It felt different than most stores. This was more about the experience, and even just talking to him, he said he wasn't building this place in order to make a lot of money so much as he was to recreate that vibe of playing games with people. Right. So I thought that the store was great. And in the end, I added 14 games to the collection, bringing the total up to 335. Spent a lot, but it was a good outing.
Definitely.